From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio. This morning we will talk to Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com, a preeminent football expert. Draft coming up in just a day, a little over 30, actually a little less than 36 hours as we are recording this. DK Metcalf, certainly a first-round pick. Does A.J. Brown go into the first round? Does Greg Little have a late surge toward the first round as well? We'll ask those questions and more with Chris coming up here in a bit on the podcast. It's brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Remember that Craddock Ole is sponsoring the FCA breakfast on the Ole Miss campus. It's at the Manning Center at 8:30 on Saturday morning. So if you would be so inclined to attend that, you can find out more at OleMissFCA.com. Go over there. You can find out all the information. You can fill out forms. You can do what you need to do to be at that breakfast this Saturday. Food's good, and the Kessinger family is the special guest for that one. Don has tons of great stories, so come hang out, listen to those. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. The number is 662-257-1900. You can call Corey Clark, get a quote on the Ford vehicle of your choice that you're interested in. He'll get you that quote within 15 minutes, within business hours. It's real simple. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. Here's what you get with Corey. Some of you you probably haven't read it anywhere because nothing gets reported like this in Oxford. But it doesn't. There was a series of break-ins in Wellsgate and North Point. One of those neighborhoods is the one in which I live. And one of the vehicles that was in my driveway is a Ford Explorer. And my lovely daughter, Campbell, left her purse, her wallet, and her new camera in her car that evening with the door locked. And I'm sure some fine young men attempted to take it by breaking the window of her Ford Explorer. They hit it 3 times with some sort of a device. I think it's that device that you use to break the window if you're like going underwater.
Oh, really? One of those things?
They hit it with that 3 times. Here's what I can tell you about Ford Explorers. The windows are strong. There's a selling point for you. So I'll let Corey do the rest of the selling. 662-257-1900. My point is, Corey called to check on the vehicle, to check on us just yesterday, before he took off for a day or two. 662-257-1900. Call him, get a quote, shop it around. He wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy, and he'll prove it. All you have to do is ask for a quote. Then the rest takes care of itself. That's at Clark Ford and Amory, and if you tell him that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast, you'll save $500 on your deal.
So we'll jump right in. We'll get into some draft stuff, but there was a baseball game last night. It was in Pearl, Mississippi at Trustmark Park. Mississippi State 8, Ole Miss 1. The Bulldogs have won 4 straight Governor's Cup games. They have won, I think, 11 of 13 in the series since Ole Miss swept the 2015 season. Ole Miss won all 4 and 15, and since that point, they have gone 2-11 since against the Bulldogs last night. They go up 1-0. They get a really good effort from Zach Phillips. He pitches 5.1 innings, gives up 2 earned runs, 3 total, and error calls one of the innings, and a couple of the runs scored after he left the game that were inherited by the bullpen and then later scored. But offensively, it was just a mess last night. I think they ended up with 8 hits, but there was a couple infield singles in the night that added to that didn't do much damage or amount to much or anything for that matter. They were 1 for 15 with runners on base after 8 innings. They were 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. After 8 innings, they left 11 on base, and I think they had guys on base in 8 of the 9 innings and yet scored 1 run last night. Situationally, they were a really, really bad baseball team. The bullpen didn't do much. It was a rough night where, I'll be honest, Neal, they were just kind of dominated in all 3 phases.
Well, I didn't watch it. I didn't listen to it.
It wasn't on TV, so
I didn't listen to it. I didn't follow it. Here's what I can tell you just from looking at a box score, from hearing about it. This team feels and sounds as if the pressure is starting to mount a little, and they feel it. It's not too late, but we're approaching that neighborhood. You and I talked about this a little bit yesterday on the show, and then we actually quasi-talked about it, just having a human conversation. I don't really see a scenario outside of getting red hot where they host. You sort of wrote this the other day about we're quickly getting out of that conversation. We're barely in it right now.
It's the other way. It's maybe we could come back to it, but we're not in it at all at the moment.
That's fair. There's 12 games left. I think they have to win 8 or 9 of those games to realistically do it because of the way that the committee is going to distribute host sites.
Here's what's weird about the committee, and this has been pretty much year over year, so you can't go, well, different groups and stuff like that. This has been pretty accurate the last 4 to 5 years. For at-large bids, meaning just get in the dang tournament.
Right.
Conference record is number 1.
Yeah.
Not like basketball where we go, hey, we don't know. Baseball, by God, they do. It is conference record. Kentucky and North Carolina have not gotten host sites not gotten in because of conference records, even though they've had top 25 RPIs.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going.
But the other way for hosting
right.
is completely opposite, which is stupid from a selection standpoint, but it is what it is. I think everybody who has hosted in the last few years, no RPIs outside of like 19, 20, something like that. Yeah. So if you don't have an RPI basically in hosting range, you're not hosting.
Right. And their RPI before the game
was 28 before the game yesterday.
It's probably,
I'm checking right now.
It's probably 30.
I mean, they played a really good team on a neutral site. Might not have dropped at all.
Might have stayed where it was. But they're going to have a hard time getting into the teens on RPI without winning a bunch of games.
Have to get red hot. They'd have to finish 18-12, in my opinion.
If we're going to have the hosting discussion, I think
28 still this morning.
I think, to be fair, we have to have how many do they have to win to get in discussion?
15-15.
Okay.
My opinion.
And they're 10-8.
I think 14-16 gives you a shot and maybe, but you're bubbly as all hell.
So they got to go 5-7.
13-17, you're not getting in.
Right.
That's what Kentucky's done. That's what other teams have done. You're not getting in.
Got to get 5-7 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And listen, they got to go to Baton Rouge. They got to go to Knoxville. You got A&M and State here. There are no gimmies in those 12. So that's, depending on what happens this weekend, could become part of the conversation.
Well, huge part of the conversation.
I told you this before we started. There's a thread up on the board. I haven't read it. You pointed it out to me. I got up this morning and had stuff to do and had I take Carson to school and exercised and everything else. So I'm just now kind of getting my day started. About Steve Spurrier talking about an expiration date. I'm not saying that Mike Bianco has passed his expiration date. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just not, as I've said in 10 Thoughts, I've said it here, I'm just not plugged into the program enough to say that. You are, I'm not. This is more of a general conversation. I do think there comes a point in anything, in business, in relationships, in parenting, in work, in coaching, where a voice gets stale. I've seen Greg Popovich talk about this, the San Antonio Spurs coach. He never gets upset when an assistant coach leaves. Number one, he's usually happy for them because he or she, and I say she because of Becky Hammonds, gets a better job as a head coach. But he always takes full advantage of the opportunity to bring in new voices because he knows that even though he's brilliant, and he is a brilliant man, and he's a brilliant coach, he knows that his voice gets stale. And I do think, and I don't know this, I just wonder if, I should say it that way, I wonder if that staleness is beginning to happen inside that program. And I don't know the answer. I do wonder.
it's why this is such a convoluted thing, because I get it. And over the course of 19 years, you're dealing with multiple generations of kids. You're dealing with kids who have to be treated different ways on every team, but over the course of time as well.
Sure.
And you've got to update yourself. You've got to keep your message not just stale year over year, but stale to this group and the next group and the next group on just how they interact with you, because at the end of the day, you can't change that. It is what it is. You're recruiting the best baseball players, and you deal with whatever attitudes and personalities that come into your program by doing that. And while I think that's very apt, it's still more of an overall program postseason staleness than it is, I think, a day-to-day message, simply because they're 10-8 in the league and everybody's pissed off. Again, had you not had all these postseason issues, nobody would be pissed off at 10-8 right now.
No, we'd be.
They go, hey, just get in the tournament, it'll be all right. We'll figure this out.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
And that's not where we're at. Instead, it's chaos because they lose a Tuesday game to Mississippi State. And now, look, State has completely dominated the series. I get it. But
in a bubble, they lost a neutral site game to a really good team, and it didn't impact them at all.
And they're having, from a program relative standpoint, over the last 19 years, they're having an average to down season.
Right.
Not a chaos, not a oh my God falling apart season.
Yeah.
Just a.
It's why
They're exactly having the same record as last year through 18 games in the conference. Now the non-conference has been a disaster. They've lost 7 games, but in the conference they were 10-8 through 18 last year.
It's the way. And I know
it is the way. There's no doubt about that.
I know 10-8 is 10-8 is 10-8 is 10-8.
But it's 10-8 that, frankly, had you just not given away opportunities, should be 13-5.
Right.
Because Alabama was a giveaway game. Missouri was one giveaway game at least. Kentucky was a giveaway game. I mean, they've played the bad part of the schedule because look, they went to Arkansas, showed a lot of guts, and won 2 out of 3. Credit to them in every freaking way imaginable.
Well, and had they not, we'd be
having a whole different conversation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so no, look, they had a weekend where they rode that into a Florida series.
Sometimes that's what's frustrating.
That is what's frustrating because they are better than they are showing.
Right.
But they've played the bad teams. All what's left now is some horses.
Yeah. Because I say that because Arkansas is good, and Arkansas is really good at home.
Arkansas is very good. Yeah.
And they're really good at home.
And for whatever reason, Ole Miss really beats them up in Fayetteville. I don't know.
And Ole Miss went up there and played a great series. Could have easily swept the thing.
Yeah, just lost a game the first night.
Just lost a game. And so you know how good they can be, but they haven't really shown that.
So, not to change back, but I've got an RPI needs report here just for the sheer heck of it. And again, this is in a vacuum, this is whatever, but it's still a good tool.
RPI needs?
It tells you how many wins you need to potentially reach certain points from an RPI thing at the end of the season.
Gotcha.
It's not perfect, but it works to some extent.
Fair enough. It's a podcast.
Yeah. Ole Miss has 14 games left, 6 at home, 8 on the road. Okay? Their current RPI on this is 29, so 28, 29, whatever. Same difference.
Yeah.
To get into the top 45, just win a few games. 3 road wins, 1 home win, 2 road wins, 2 home wins, 1 road win, 3 home wins, no road wins, whatever. Just don't, you'd have to go out of the tank. Top 32, 0 home wins, 5 road wins, basically 5 wins, however the heck you want to get it.
Okay.
So you have to go 5, and it is 5 wins, however you want to get it. So 5 and whatever the rest of the way, 9.
5 and 9.
So the top 32. For the top 16, which is the point of this, essentially, however you want to go about doing it, 11 wins.
Yeah.
Have to go 11-3 down the stretch to make the top 16.
That's what I was telling you when I started.
4 at home, 7 on the road, 5 at home, 6 on the road, 6 at home, 5 on the road.
That's what I was telling you a little while ago. I think when you talk about the rest of the RPI, I mean, when you look at the SEC, Arkansas is going to host. Mississippi State's going to host.
Georgia
is going to host. Vanderbilt's going to host. LSU is in position to host. Might not, but they're in position today to host. Who am I leaving out?
I don't think they're going to, but don't count out Tennessee.
Okay, so the SEC's not going to get 7 host sites.
They've gotten 6 one other time.
Yeah, but they're not getting 7.
That's highly doubtful.
So if you're going to host, you're probably going to have to win 8 or 9 of your remaining
yesterday D1 Baseball did a top 64. They have, SEC teams. They have Missouri, a 3 seed in Corvallis, Oregon. They have Tennessee, a 2 seed in Chapel Hill, but the 2 seed to the 15 seed. So do some math there. Pretty good. Like that's they're kind of in range if they got hot late because of RPI. Vanderbilt, the number 3 overall seed. Georgia, the number 4 overall seed. Florida, a 3 seed. LSU, a host right now, is a 12 seed. Louisville, a 5 seed. Arkansas, the 6 overall seed. State, the 11 overall seed. Those are both hosts. And then Ole Miss, they have a 2 seed in Greenville, North Carolina, which is East Carolina. And then Auburn, the 2 seed at Georgia Tech, which you almost kind of feel like you can just go ahead and put Auburn and Georgia Tech. That's where they're going. For some reason, they'll be in Atlanta. But that's a lot of hosts. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 hosts. Yeah, Kendall has almost 6. Now, he's real cute with the matchups because he wants clicks, and I don't blame him, but 6 hosts.
That's my point. If you told me they get 6, I buy it. They're not getting 7, and to get into that top 6, Ole Miss is going to win a bunch of games.
I mean, 7 right now would be Tennessee.
Yeah. Hard.
Frankly, today, Ole Miss is the 7, 8, 9. Ole Miss is the 9th place team in the SEC from an overall tournament resume standpoint right now, in my opinion. I think that's fair. There's maybe 11 teams getting in. I think they're 9th. It just feels like we're playing out the string. It feels like this thing's going to kind of take care of itself, judging by what is possible. And that's the question that none of us has the answers to, or even what people are thinking. I mean, we could be having all these conversations when
I don't know.
It's just not even a thought. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But, I mean, there's no way for us to know that for sure one way or the other.
Yeah. I have no clue. And anybody who tells you they have a clue, they're lying to you. They're the people that are never willing to admit that they don't know. They always know. Because as soon as it happens, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, well, I'd heard that, which is a lie. So let me prepare you for that lie one way or the other. It's coming, and it's a lie.
But here's the thing. Ole Miss has played 1 good baseball game in the last 5, 6. You can make the argument for 2 if you'd like on one of the Auburn losses. But really, from an overall winning 3-phase game, 1 good baseball game in the last 6, that's not good enough. That's not going to make the postseason, just being honest. So they just got to get better. I mean, right now it's not about resumes. It's not about hosts. It's about finding a way to put something together and about playing clean baseball. Not even good baseball, just clean. If you play clean, you're good enough to win games because you've shown that. But right now it's just mistake after mistake. It's empty at bats. It's errors. It's all these different things. And frankly, more than any other season, or maybe not any other, but in a long time, probably since 2008, Mike's scrambling. I thought that 3 of his last 4 years prior to this were some of his best managing jobs, 2015, 2016, 2018, for different reasons. But I thought he did great jobs. He looks lost right now. He is doing things lineup and defensively that are very counterintuitive to basic stats. Moving Zabowski down in the order against left-handers when Zabowski's hitting left-handers better than he's hitting right-handers. Albeit small sample sizes, Knox LaPosser is hitting right-handers better than he is left-handers, but he's only playing against left-handers right now. Real traditional lineup management that
which
kind
is
of
not the
flies
way,
in the face.
It's not the way that smart people put lineups together now. Smart people put lineups together now using analytics.
Gray Kessinger's been incredibly hot, and he moved him from the 2 to the 3 last night. It's defying some logic. As we learn more about lineups, we learn more about defensive alignment because, you know, and I hate doing this because he's a good kid. I hate picking on kids. I hate it. It drives me insane. It's not his fault. He's not trying to get out. He's not trying to run down balls in the outfield. But common sense to me, Chase Cockrell, the senior outfielder, whatever, DH for Ole Miss, had a hell of a season last year. Carried Ole Miss for weeks at one point when everybody else was kind of struggling. He hasn't been good this year. He hasn't been able to replicate that at all. I think he has 36 strikeouts and 79 at-bats. He hasn't hit a home run all season. He's only got a few extra base hits. Now he's walking a ton. If you want to play that and playing fair game all the way around, he's doing that. But he's not doing anything else to be the type of productive hitter he's supposed to be that fits his profile. Big kid, hits the ball with tons of backspin, supposed to hit the ball at the ballpark. He's not doing that. Well, he's also a senior. So if it's even, play the young guy. Play the guy you got to have next year. Play Josh Hall, who did give you some reps in the outfield, and do some nice things the last few weeks in Ryan Olynyk's stead. Play Jacob Adams, then puts a video out in the outfield, especially last night at Trustmark. It's a huge park. It's like Hoover. It plays big. They put Cockrell in right field. He's not the worst athlete in the world, but he's not the best athlete in the world. In the fifth inning, there's a fly ball that hangs up for a while. I've taken a poll with people who saw it, and they say Anthony Servillo or Josh Hall catches the baseball. They just do. They get there, they run it down, they catch it. Instead, it falls in the gap, and instead of being 1-1 at the end of the inning, State's up 3-1, and the game's probably over at that point, even though it's a 2-run deficit. There's just so many little things right now that, frankly, because of a lot of his history, I kind of expected Mike to figure it out because he is a tinkerer. But he normally kind of gets it by this point where you go, okay, that's why you did that. That makes sense. I get why you did this. And it all kind of comes together. It just feels like he's lost right now, and I don't know why. And, frankly, it's a little baffling.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens this weekend. It's a big weekend for them. I think it's a tone. You talked about the Auburn series for a long time, and you know, just when it was over as a benchmark, and I think
it's funny because they're ahead of where I thought they had to be, yet we're still having these conversations.
I think this is the weekend that we find out just a lot because it's time to respond. Because if you don't respond now, you might not respond. Because you go to LSU next weekend, right?
Yep.
If you don't respond now, you might not respond.
It's A&M, LSU, Mississippi State, and at Tennessee.
Yeah. If you lose 2 out of 3 now, you're putting yourself in jeopardy. You win 2 out of 3, and you're okay. You pull off a sweep, and we're having a different conversation. Get swept, and it's a nightmare. But this is an interesting weekend, one way or the other. When it's over, I'll have it. There won't be any more. Well, here's what they have. I think we'll have a clue what's coming.
Yeah,
because the bell's ringing. I mean, it's time to answer it. If you're going to answer it.
Last 2 quick things with baseball. Greer Holston made his first appearance last night of the season after having essentially dead arm, essentially the yips. I mean, he was asked about it last night and didn't really give a clear picture on what had been going on, but it just hadn't been good.
What did he throw?
He hit 90 once. I saw a 90. There were some high 80s and there was some low 80s. It was a huge range. He was kind of all over the place, but he did get back up in the ballpark of where he was in the previous seasons. And somebody said, hey, why are you burning a red shirt? He's a junior. He has a year of eligibility left. If he's good, he's going to go in the draft next year anyway. If he's not, who cares? Play him. Get anything out of him you can get. Don't worry about a freaking red shirt right now for a junior. So, no, they're doing the right thing, playing him. And then also Ryan Olynyk was back last night from the hip injury. He'll play this weekend. He had a hit at least, maybe 2. I don't remember. But either way, those were the 2 nuggets of news. And we'll see if Zach Phillips works his way back into the rotation. He's been really good the last 3 midweeks. He deserved much better than he got last night against Mississippi State. He was effective with 3 different pitches in the strike zone, and he was quality. So we'll see as we move forward. And we'll talk to Chris Landry in a second on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Before we do that, we'll tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis, so again, local underwriting understands your market, a leader in condo financing, and the float down option, so you can lock in the current rate. But if rates come before you close, you get the lower rate. 662-234-2704 or JLOWE@communitymtg.com.
On Sunday, we'll be celebrating with Blue Delta Jeans their 5-year anniversary on the Square in Oxford. It's at the Lyric on Sunday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. You can join the great people of Blue Delta Jeans for music, complimentary Bloody Marys, complimentary Big Bad Breakfast Biscuits. Say that fast a few times and see how much you butcher it.
With meat in them.
With meat.
I clarified.
And you can check out the spring summer line of denim and Holland and Cherry. It's all going to be there at the Lyric. You're invited. It's a private event, but you're invited because you listen to this Potato Log podcast. All you have to do is tell Blue Delta Jeans you're coming. That's it. This is so simple. I'm going to give you 3 ways to do it. You can go on Instagram and send them a direct message that says, hey, my name is Joe Schmo, and I'm coming. I'm bringing 2 people or 6 people or whatever, and that's how many people are coming. Or you can go on Twitter, and you can slide into their DMs the exact same way. Or you can send them an email, an electronic mail, info@bluedeltajeans.com. That's info@bluedeltajeans.com. Let them know you're coming because, see, what they're trying to do is have enough biscuits and stuff for everybody. And if hundreds of people show up who didn't let them know they were coming, well, they won't have enough food, and that makes the party not quite as fun. So do yourself a favor, do them a favor, let them know you're coming. There's no commitment. You just tell them you're coming. It'll be fun. Chase will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. So Blue Delta Jeans on the square, 10 to 2 on Saturday. Sunday, not Saturday.
Sunday.
Jeez. I know, man. It's
at the Lyric.
I was about to screw that up and make it the crap take of the day is what I was about to do. That would not have been good if everybody showed up on Saturday because they won't be there on Saturday.
No.
They'll be there on Sunday. The crap take of the day brought to you by Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, LLC. Everyone loves their pets. Most people do anyway. I know somebody who does not like my pets. But no one loves stepping in their pet souvenirs, and tracking those souvenirs into your house is a nightmare. Scoopers will go into your backyard, apartment complex, or condominium and pick up what no one really wants to pick up. For $10 a cleaning, Scoopers will clean up your yard. They'll do it on your schedule, whether that's weekly, bi-weekly, or a one-time service. No contracts are required. You can cancel anytime. If you have multiple dogs, it's just $2 for each dog. So if you own a home, a condo, or an apartment complex in Oxford, and you'd like to deal with a lot less crap, call Scoopers, 662-506-2754, or simply send them an email at scoopers.oxfordpetwaste@gmail.com to get your cleanings scheduled today. Scoopers Pet Waste Removal, they're number one in your pet's number two business.
Podcast also brought to you by Master Cuts Lawn and Landscape. While you're calling the pooper people, might as well call Master Cuts as well. You get a free quote with them. I can just give them a shout at 662-607-7773. You know, they handle all your basic maintenance and that stuff. Been telling you about that for a while throughout northern Mississippi, but a lot more than that as well. They build custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces, paver patios, and forestry mulching. So many different things to the path to your dream backyard. It's easier than you think. Again, that's gomastercuts.com or 662-607-7773. Now here's Chris Landry.
Chris, welcome into the show. Really appreciate you taking some time on what I know is a slammed day for you. I want to start with the Ole Miss guys. I know we don't have you forever, so I want to make sure we get that in before we get to some of the big overreaching draft topics. Different people have different opinions. I'm fascinated to get yours. Which of the two Ole Miss wide receivers do you think goes first, Brown or Metcalf? And then sort of give me your assessment of, you know, what kind of prospects they are, what kind of careers you expect from them.
I think Metcalf is the most intriguing for most people. My guess is that he is going to go first. I think Brown will go shortly thereafter. I think they're both make-it guys. I think with Metcalf, you're dealing with a guy that has such physical skills that are intriguing. You have to look at him and certainly see that he's a guy that doesn't break down very well and change directions, but his length, his hands, and his athletic ability, his vertical speed, just really, really an intriguing guy. He's kind of one of the freaks that we call him. I think that to me, he's probably I think I've got him with a first-round grade. I think he's more late first-round value, but I think he's going to go first round. And listen, I think that Brown is outstanding in his own right. Another guy with great body control, size, length. I think that he's got to improve a little bit in terms of running his routes out with the type of intensity that you need to on a consistent basis. All these guys need to learn a route tree. You don't have it at college, but I think both are make-it guys. And you're talking about two guys that have enough ability to be number one caliber receivers at the NFL level. So to have that coming out of college, people are saying, man, these are really impressive guys. I know a lot of my scouting buddies in the league, with the combine and looking at these guys, they're saying, how the heck these guys not score 1 million points, with these two receivers, because these guys are really, really good. And obviously got some more players that are good on that roster.
Yeah, that's a question that gets bantied around Oxford a little bit too. Is there a spot in the draft that, if you're watching for them? Is there a spot in the draft where you probably need to get your ears perked? Is it 13, 14, 20? I've seen DK projected anywhere from 12 or 13 to the end of the first round.
Yeah, I think it's listen. Somebody could reach and take him. I think he's more late first round. I just think that there are better players on the board at other spots, but it is not that big of a reach. I think the first receiver off the board comes off late, and I don't know if it's going to be DK or Marquise Brown of Oklahoma, but I think to me they're in the bottom stack of my first-round grades. I just think there are better players on the board, safer picks, better players at other positions. But I would say later, I think that you'd have to look at it. I mean, I certainly would think a team like the Rams and the Packers at 30 and 31 would make some sense. But you could see somebody, I could see somebody doing it a little bit earlier. I'd be surprised if you're off the board at 13 or 14. In my opinion, you're leaving better players on the board if you're going to take DK at that point. But that's just me, and I think that the value to me is more kind of in the 20s on down to 32.
Going into the season, there was a lot of talk, Chris, about Greg Little, the offensive tackle at Ole Miss, being a top 10 pick. I mean, there were a lot of NFL people that had him projected to go that high. When I say NFL people, I mean people who cover the NFL, not necessarily the people who actually make decisions. Now that the season is over, all of the process is over, he's not projected that high. I've heard anywhere from 50 to 80. What's happened with Little? What do you think of him as a prospect when you look at him? Does he project as an NFL tackle?
Well, and it's one of the things you mentioned. People love to project and say this or that, and it makes sometimes the kid look bad because what did he do wrong? Well, he didn't do anything wrong. It's just the people don't know how to evaluate. Just kind of throw some ideas out there. And I think Greg's a good player. He's exceptional size. I think he's a very good athlete for his size. Got long arms, can stay on his feet. He can anchor well. I mean, he does a good job with his hand usage. He's just not a very intense guy. He's just not a guy that plays as ferociously as you'd like. That's always been the case. That's never been not the case. So to me, he hasn't changed. He's been where he is. Now, where you are graded and where you stack up overall, well, that depends. It's not a exceptional year at tackle. I think to me, I've got him as an early second round value. But there's so do I have about 48 other players with second round grades across all positions. So Greg could go anywhere in the fourth round. I mean, I got him on the tackle board at 8. There's a kid at Alabama that can play guard or tackle, a kid from Washington State, Juwan Taylor, Florida. Then you get into that next cluster of where Greg is in, but I would stack them behind Cody Ford and Dalton Risner and Caleb McCary from Washington State. And I'm intrigued by the kid at Alabama State, Titus Howard. Greg is in that group, so I could see him going in the second round or the fourth. But so to understand that for the listeners, it's not varying. It's just the variance is you got probably 52 to 54 second-round grades. You got 32 spots. Some of those second-round grades have to go in the first round because you only got about 20 first-round grades. Some of those second-round grades are going to have to go in the fourth round, pure numbers. So it doesn't mean that, they're dropping or this. No, he's just in the cluster with other people. It wouldn't shock me if the Texans took him. They would be reaching. But if the Texans stood where they are at 23 and they just, reached off a need, I could see them taking Greg or some other tackle, but I think they'll be leaving a better player on the board. And then that's where it would start. I think it's more likely to be somewhere in the mid to second round to the high fourth round. That would be the variable for a lot of those guys. But, I think the guys, regardless where he goes, he's got to improve his ability to finish better. I think that not that he doesn't take the game seriously, but, he's going to have to learn that this is a business. This is his job. and it's no longer on a scholarship. And if he's the difference between him being a guy that gets drafted and becomes really good, or just a guy that becomes so-so and is out of the league in a few years, is going to depend upon his competitive nature and his fire. I see guys, they burn a little slow and they catches. I see guys that never quite. It's just always flickering. So that's the message to Greg that's been told to him. I think he understands that, but a lot of guys, of course, they all tell you, that they, I'm going to put it. But their idea of working hard and what truly working hard is sometimes two different things. So we'll see what it does for him. The guy has as much ability as anybody. I mean, I absolutely. If you're looking at guys that I think can play left tackle in the league, he's definitely in the top 2 or 3 guys that have the natural ability to do so. But do I trust him as my starting left tackle right now? Not until I see a little bit more fire in him. So that's why he's not going to be, or ever was going to be, a high first-round pick. It's why he's going to be less than that. And so if that's not a lesson to, okay, look, you're going to lose some money because you haven't been as competitive as you need to be. Now your big money is going to come on your second contract in the NFL, which, by the way, you're not going to get unless you become the player that you're capable of being, which is a guy that, in my opinion, could be a purple grade or higher, maybe even red grade, NFL starting caliber left tackle. Those guys make really good money. You can be one of those guys, and you can get that really good second contract. Whether you will or not is all up to you.
From all accounts, Chris, it's a really strong tight end draft. Dawson Knox came out early. He's a guy that showed flashes at Ole Miss. They didn't really use him in the offense very much for a number of reasons. That's another topic for another day, probably. Where does he stack up? Where do you sort of anticipate him landing?
I've got him as in the top of the high third-round value. If you look at numbers, there are 3 guys, 2 of them from Iowa, that I think are first-rounders, and I think Irv Smith could very well go in the late first, because he's a high second-round grade in my view. So I think in terms of numbers, with only 23 first-round grades on my board, I think Irv probably goes late first round. So that leaves the board with guys like Dawson, like Isaac Nada from Georgia, like Jake Sternberger of A&M, all 3 SEC guys, obviously, that probably, have numbers-wise could go in the second round. I think if you start taking those 3 guys off the board and you want to find you one of those guys, then you probably are having to think about it somewhere mid to late second round. But again, that's why if you pick for need, you're reaching a little bit, because you may be leaving a better player on the board at another spot. But I think that's where his value is. Could go a little bit lower. I think that he's in that same group, along with, quite frankly, 7 or 8 other guys. But I think he has a chance to be a much better pro. His size and speed in the position is really good. He catches the ball cleanly. He's a good route runner. He'll stick and stay as a blocker, and he's got run after catch ability. He's a tough kid. He's a competitive kid. Doesn't have the size or bulk or strength to be an inline guy, but he can be a movement tight end. You can line him up in the backfield, do some full back tight end H-back stuff. Going to have to be a really good special teams player, which I think he's competitive enough to do it. But I see him as a flexed out Y wing. It's what he is. I think he has good versatility, and I think he's a make it guy in that role.
Does DeMarcus Lodge hear his name called this weekend, or is he a free agent?
I think that he's a late-round possibility. I think that it's probably – I'd give him maybe a 40-45% chance of getting drafted late round. But, again, you start doing the numbers, there are a lot more numbers, and he's kind of put in a category where the numbers would suggest that he's likely going to be an undrafted guy. But I think, late round, 7th round is a possibility. I've got him rated a little bit higher than that. In fact, I've got them with a low fourth round value. But when you look at them stacked, they're 25 receivers that I've got graded either equally or better. So you start doing the numbers, and that's where he falls into the 6th or 7th or maybe undrafted. But I think he's really good value in the late round. I mean, he's in there with just, the McCole Hardeman kid, the Texas kid, Humphrey and Myers from NC State. There are a number of them. Sills from West Virginia, really good player. I think he's a draftable guy in terms of grade value. And I use that term. You grade a player to a standard. This is where his value rates. But you start doing the numbers, and you only got 32 picks in each round, and add the compensatory picks, 3rd, 4th round on. I think that's where his numbers could go in the 6th or 7th round. And if you get him there, you got great value, because I think you got a 4th round value player there.
So I want to talk about the top of the draft real quick. Everybody's got an opinion. It certainly looks and sounds like Kyler Murray's going number 1. Is that the right pick for the Cardinals?
Well, right pick is very debatable. And first of all, you're dealing with an organization that fired their coach that they hired last year at this time, or last offseason, and traded up for Josh Rosen. And now if they make this move, they're going to punt on this situation and go with Kyler Murray. I can tell you in their draft room, they're split on Nick Bosa and Quinnen Williams as the best player, but new head coach who's they think is an offensive genius and they think can create an offense around this guy. And if that's what they do, that's what they'll do. Would I do that? No, but I wouldn't have hired Cliff Kingsbury. There are a lot of things I'd have to go back on and say I wouldn't have done even going back a year or two from now. But be that as it may, if that's the direction that they go, I understand them doing it. I don't necessarily have to agree with it. But I think what they're doing right now is they're trying to create some value for the pick. I think ideally they'd love to move down a couple of spots and still take him if indeed that's who they want, and get extra picks with it. The problem is no one's moving up for a quarterback in this draft. And while people like Bosa and Quinnen Williams, they're really not necessarily looking to move up to one for one of those guys. So listen, we'll see if they can do some kind of a deal. Do they take less than market value? Do they move out of it altogether? Have they decided that, no, we're not going to take them, we're going to go with Rosen? I think that, at least from a PR standpoint, there's a perception that they're going to take Murray, and probably some of their fan base will be real disappointed. But they've gone out of their way to say they haven't made their decision. They've made their decision. It's just the ultimate decision will come on whether they're offered anything that they, in a trade once they're on the clock, that would make them move. And so that's the only variable left, I think.
What realistically would they get for Rosen right now?
Well, it depends on the team. I mean, people will say, well, second round. Well, what second round pick? What third round pick? Because you got the 33rd pick in the second round and you got the 62nd pick. So there's a huge difference. So I think it's in the range of a high third, late second. It's as good as they can hope for at this point. They don't have any leverage. I think for me, while I wasn't all that high on Rosen, I liked him, but I wasn't as high on him as some people. He's actually done a good job and shown a real commitment to football that impresses me. And if I were a team looking for a quarterback, I'd be all over it. Certainly if I can get him for a high third or even a late second. The reason is he's under a rookie contract. The Cardinals already paid him a $10 million signing bonus last year when they signed him. So you don't have any outlay of that. So you have no outlay of cap capital. You are basically given a second round to third round for a guy that he may or may not be your future, but you have time to determine it. And then, the worst case scenario, you just don't re-sign him. You don't exercise the option when it comes up, or you do. I mean, you basically got a couple of years, 3 years to play with them to just see. I think it's really good value. And if I'm Washington, I'm Miami. I'm Denver. I'm looking at a lot of that situation very closely.
Who's the best player on your board?
Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa and Quinnen Williams have the highest grades. I've got them stacked in that order simply because the pass rusher is going to get, a little bit greater value. So that's how I have them stacked.
Who's the team you're kind of looking at? Who's the team that could shake the draft up if you had to pick a team or two that might make a move that's somewhat unconventional that sort of changes everybody's mock drafts, for lack of a better word?
Well, yeah, and the mock drafts are 99% inaccurate because it's no way to really predict once something happens. It's a domino effect. And I think the teams that have multiple picks, I mean, the Raiders have every opportunity to clean up. You've got the Giants, who have right now 3 of the top 37 picks. So those guys are in play. Seattle's acquired 2 late first-round picks, their own, and they acquired one from Kansas City yesterday. So those are the ones you have to watch out for. They've got some ammunition to move up if they choose to do so, and obviously can help themselves a great deal. So those are the ones that have the built-in advantage when you have multiple picks. You've got opportunities to get, early multiple picks. You got a chance to get multiple starters on your team if you don't screw it up. So I would say that the Raiders, Giants, maybe to a little bit lesser degree, Seattle, because of the multiple pick situation.
All right, last thing, and I really appreciate your time. There's a lot of interest here in Eli Manning, of course, the former Ole Miss quarterback. Last year of his deal in New York, the Giants, as you mentioned, have 2 first-round picks, have 3 pretty early picks. There are some other quarterbacks out there, Haskins, Locke, maybe some others. If you're in the New York Giants war room tomorrow, what's the direction you're going with those early picks?
Well, what they do and what I do, it's how you evaluate the quarterbacks. I actually like Dwayne Haskins. I wouldn't want to play him right now because I don't think he's ready. He doesn't have enough football. But this guy's accurate. This guy's really smart. Guy's a good worker, and I think he's a quality starting quarterback if you groom him and develop him correctly. So I would have an interest in drafting a guy, well, not a guy like that, drafting him. I wouldn't be as interested in Drew Lock. I'm not as comfortable with him, but he's got physical skills. Daniel Jones is intriguing. I certainly would not consider him at 6. I wouldn't do it at 17. But to answer your question is, I think the Giants they would like to draft a quarterback to groom behind Eli, but I think what the media has to understand, the fans have to understand, you have to believe the quarterback is good enough to do it, or else what are you doing? The same people that are saying you need to draft quarterback. I can't believe you draft that quarterback. He stinks. Well, when you reach, that's what you do. You take a player that you don't think is good enough. Why would you ever do that? That's dumb. So, it really comes down to, do they have the players graded correctly? And ideally, they come out of this 37 picks in some way, shape, or form with 2 impact defensive players and maybe their quarterback of the future. But what order, what direction? Will they have to maybe combine one of those picks to move up a little bit to secure one of those? I don't know. All those things we won't know until it plays out. But I think the goal is to get a quarterback. But I think they like one of these guys. I don't know which one. And if they do, I think they're going to try to get him. But you don't just say, well, let's go draft a quarterback, because that's what normally you hear, right? Go draft the quarterback. You need one. That's great. If you draft the wrong one, it's look, you got to be right. Kansas City wasn't right by drafting a quarterback. They were right by drafting Patrick Mahomes. Jacksonville wasn't right when they, drafted Blaine Gabbert or Blake Bortles. That hadn't worked out real well. They're still looking for the quarterback. So the point is, you need to evaluate players correctly. And listen, I got a lot of confidence in Dave Gettleman to do just that.
It's great stuff. Really appreciate the time. I know you're busy. Thanks again for spending some time with us on this morning. Enjoy the draft. Talk to you soon, I hope.
Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. No question about it.
Thanks, as always, to Chris. A ton of football knowledge and inside his brain makes Neil and I feel stupid every time we speak to him. So appreciate his time today. The podcast brought to you also by Scripted Jewelry, scriptedjewelry.com. Mother's Day right around the corner. You got a couple days. You got 2 days to take advantage of this with Scripted Jewelry to make sure your order gets there and gets back in time for Mother's Day. You can go find an entire section of Mother's Day choices. It's a mom thing at scriptedjewelry.com. Again, order deadline April 25th. You can see new arrivals. You can see recently purchased things, recent work, and tons more. And they're going to save you some money in the process. You put in Rebels10 in the coupon code box, REBELS10, with Scripted Jewelry, so you get Mother's Day taken care of and save money as well. Again, scriptedjewelry.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home and all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. They also give you a commercial checking account that's now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. They can set up any local business to deposit checks from their office and not have to worry with coming to the bank daily to deposit those checks. More than likely, any business owner at another bank is now paying a monthly fee for their account. They're most assuredly not making 1% on their money. To learn more about OUB, check out Live Oxford, bankoxford.com, or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. If you're coming up this weekend, you're thinking about moving to Oxford, you're thinking about making Oxford your retirement home, making it a second home, whatever the case may be, get in touch with Harry and take a look at Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 7/10 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square. It's conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. It houses Snack Bar and BBB and Jinsei and all that stuff. Savannah Square will initially consist of 32 standalone detached structures ranging in size from about 1,100 square feet to 2,400 square feet. The model home is available for your inspection at 215 William Street. These homes, I've seen them. They have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes. You can inspect them at the William Street model. So all you have to do, get in touch with Harry, send him a text, give him a call, 662-801-5621, or check out the website, savannahsquareoxford.com. Podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast, and you'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're getting that summer vacation planned, you're thinking about starting to think about some holiday trips. Maybe you're going overseas. Maybe you're going on a cruise. Whatever the case may be, get in touch with John. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. It allows him to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. You're not committed to anything. You just call him. You give him some parameters. Give him a budget. Let him give you some options. You don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services, and he's going to come up with options that you will not find on your own. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
So the basketball federal court stuff started this week and spilled over into football a little yesterday.
Nope, not true.
Not true?
No.
Adam Zagoria of the New York Times.
Fake news.
He says today, from the college football bribery trial, government witness Marty Blazer said between 2010 and 2014 he paid from several hundred to several $1,000s to football players from Pitt, Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Northwestern, UNC.
Northwestern?
And Alabama.
No. Fake news.
Which one's more surprising, Northwestern or Alabama?
Alabama.
I thought. Bastion of integrity. The criminal.
Well, have you ever been to Tuscaloosa?
It's the tradition.
Oh, the tradition oozes out of it. You can practically feel Bear Bryant walking the streets.
Blazer, testifying for the government, said in 2009 he had an NFL player as a client whose father was a Penn State assistant. Said that assistant asked him to pay a Penn State player's father $10,000 so player would stay at Penn State and not enter the NFL draft. Blazer said he did it. Said the player wound up entering the 2009 draft anyway and was the number 11 pick overall. Well, who was that? Father repaid the $10,000 apparently. Old news, but an assistant arranging such a deal would be a major violation of a program that took pride in complete NCAA compliance.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What if hypothetically, and I mean this purely hypothetically.
Gotcha.
What if instead of using an assistant, he would have used an assistant at a local junior college? Would that have changed it?
Well, I mean, when they had a prior relationship, because he had just been, the junior college coach really had just been kind of funding that person's life for a while. So that's why, hypothetically. Yeah, if there was some prearranged deal where he just kind of did that anyway, and he would have done that even if he was not a football player.
Oh, of course.
Even if he
hypothetically.
If he was an engineering major, if you will. If he played on the club chess team, if you will.
Oh, if you will.
He would have paid say $10,000. Just to help with some living expenses.
I'm just thinking out loud.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, a junior college assistant coach probably makes $50,000.
I don't know. Sure.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, in this hypothetical, I don't think 1/5 of your salary for a person who's not in your family is all that big of a stretch.
Family friend, though.
Yeah. A close friend, hypothetically. A very close friend.
You don't have to be blood to be family.
No, you don't.
Especially at Colin or other junior colleges potentially.
Yeah, because
Northeast, ICC.
Yeah, of course.
Hines.
Independence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That guy probably did something too.
For sure. Yeah. Some people are just more charitable than others.
Yeah. Blazer also testified that between 2000 and 2013, he paid football players at Penn State, Pitt, Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama, North Carolina in hopes he would become their financial advisor.
Oh.
Never heard of one of those situations before.
I didn't know that happened.
That's huge news. That really is.
Hypothetically, he's the kind of person who would maybe go to like a player's stepfather and kind of cut a deal and then take stuff and then like in a hypothetical world, and I mean this, y'all, I'm telling y'all, I'm making this up like it's damn fantasy, okay?
Have access to passwords, iCloud accounts.
Yeah, and what would happen is the football coach of that player would be represented by someone, and he would encourage that player to use his representation as well, and then that would create...
It'd muddy the water a little bit.
That would create a conflict. Like, you ever watch like Days of Our Lives or As the World Turns? It'd be sort of like that. A lot of conflict, a lot of anger. Maybe it spills over into a domestic incident. And that's when what you need is a PR expert.
Is NCAA Emily going to be all over this? What's going to happen?
Oh, they're going to crush this.
What are we doing?
Oh, man, are you kidding? You got to protect the game. You got to protect the game, Chase. Got to protect it.
Okay, back to reality for a second since we lived in our fantasy world.
Yeah, because everything that we just said is purely hypothetical.
We just pulled names and figures and towns out.
It's like we could write a novel.
Yeah, Dubuque. So, in all seriousness, when this trial is over, whenever it is, what is the next 6 months like from an NCAA investigation? Whatever it is they do, is it a lot? Is it nothing? Is it somewhere in between? I mean, right now, I don't even really have a guess on what this could look like in 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, Chase, I don't know, man. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. If you're asking me what do I think they're going to do,
it's always nothing.
My guess is nothing.
But they're more apt to hit football than basketball. Because football doesn't play a tournament that the NCAA collects all the money from.
Well, no, that is absolutely true.
The NCAA, I know contrary to a lot of thoughts, would love to hit Alabama football, Notre Dame football, Michigan football, those schools. Much more than they'd like to hit Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina basketball. football programs are their scalps on the wall. But can you prove it? Do you have more than just Marty Blazer? Have the schools done a good job with layers? You know, because once you go down that road, the NCAA has to be ready to bite it off and really see what they can find.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Blazer can probably prove it.
It's very possible.
He can probably prove it. Does the NCAA really want to take those programs down? Hey, here's the answer. I don't know. When the people go, no, they don't want to. I think they do want to. I think if you offered up to Mike Sheridan and that class of clowns the opportunity to take down Nick Saban in Alabama, I think they'd jump. Nope, no skin off their back. Just take down Michigan and Alabama and have a press conference where you put out the statements about how this is amateurism and this is wrong and we've brought justice and all that stuff.
Oh, Sheridan could walk through that building like the Vince McMahon GIF coming into the arena.
Absolutely. Big baller. Literally, like, what's the dad's name? LeVar Ball,
yeah.
Whatever. Just
like Marshawn riding the golf cart in, doing the whole deal.
You are the man in that building. Don't forget that part of it. And there is no tournament that supplies 90% of their income, like you said. You're right. But I don't know. Have programs like that, do those programs cheat? Yes, they cheat. Do they layer? Yes, they layer. But all it ever takes, and we've said this before, all it ever takes is someone to sing. With proof.
With proof. With documents.
But the money, look, if I'm going to try to secretly wire you or get you $9,000, okay? Let's just I'm trying to pay off a gambling debt.
Yeah, sure.
I got to go get the money somewhere. So unless I'm just carrying the cash around buried in my backyard,
it would be very hard for you to prove you gave it to me.
But I had to
you
go
could prove
get it
that
somewhere.
you got it on your possession.
And then it left my possession and it went somewhere.
But I mean, if you just hand me $9,000 and I go, I didn't get shit.
Yeah, he did it by giving it to. He got it to girlfriends. He got it to.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, girlfriends, old coaches. But come on, but look, you don't have to be a damn genius to figure this out. And here's the proof. Here's the truth. You don't have to have proof at the NCAA. The NCAA didn't prove a lot of the things they alleged against Ole Miss. They convicted them of it. And like I've told people, when people go, well, Ole Miss didn't give Leo Lewis anything. Yes, they absolutely did. They were sloppy and they got caught. But this guy's probably telling the truth.
Oh, I have no reason to think he's not.
In fact, right now, if he's lying to them, he's going to jail for longer.
Well, yeah, that would be a problem.
Most people at this point just tell the truth. The truth is his friend right now.
Well, he's not on trial.
No, he's better off telling him the truth. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. My gut tells me, here's let's do this to wrap up the segment. Are we still talking about this in 6 months, or does it go under the table and we forget about it?
Cop-out answer, but you know me, I'm never afraid to say I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like they pick...
For whatever reason.
They don't have the manpower to investigate all 7 of those at one time.
For whatever reason, the media, the national media, don't seem to have the bloodlust for this.
No, they don't. They'd like it to go away.
They wanted Hugh Freeze because Hugh Freeze came across as a snake oil salesman and because Hugh Freeze came across as an overzealous Easter worshiper. If you can't read between those
and
lines.
because they deemed that Ole Miss was mean to them.
And Ole Miss was mean to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those were the reasons.
Yes.
Fascinating. My guess is they end up picking 1 or 2 schools off that list, trying to throw them under the bus, and everybody else skates.
Well, that would be one hell of a corrupted note, but you're probably right.
Well, I mean, I think some of it's simply manpower. They don't have the people for 8 investigations. They got to pick somebody to start with. They don't have the people. So whose blazer got the most on? That's where they go.
Maybe that's where they go.
Who's under the statute of limitations, if any exists, because they just make up the rules in their own mind. It doesn't
Sure.
matter what the actual rules are. Yeah, I think they pick 1 or 2 out.
If I'm Pitt, I'm worried.
Hey, what if you're North Carolina and you've already dodged 1 bullet?
And you know they want to come get you.
Hey,
We
might
could-
not have got you on those classes.
We didn't get you on that basketball stuff, but here we come with football, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, and your track team is effed. Let me tell you that.
What are y'all good at? Women's soccer?
Yeah,
Done.
Done.
Yeah.
Taking that away.
There was a tutor? Okay. It's all good.
It's like Missouri baseball. It's like, wait, us? Hold up. You know somebody at Missouri baseball was like, wait, what? We're in NCAA trouble?
We're not good enough for that crowd. Come on. What?
We've been trying to buy, but we hadn't bought jack.
Not the best.
Do you see our attendance? We don't even have new uniforms.
I told you, when they joined the league, it was my favorite thing because they still use actual attendance. And you look at the box card and go, 23. And go, at least count the players.
Yeah,
they were in attendance.
They were there.
Get to 100.
You had
please.
3 umpires.
Yeah, it'd be like temperature 9, attendance 18.
Yeah. The umpires are there. They count.
Yeah.
Those are people.
So if you're at Pitt and you're a little freaked out, maybe time to get some CBD oil. Maybe time to just calm the nerves down a little bit. It's been known to help with anxiety, depression, depending on how this thing goes for you. It's all natural. It's not going to give you any crazy side effects. It's derived from hemp, not marijuana. Don't make that thing. Not going to screw you up. It is regulated by the FDA. It's legal in all 50 states. And some of the best stuff is at G&M right there in Oxford on South Lamar. They deliver local to your home or workplace. Stop in, check on the CBD oil, and just transfer all your medications when you do it as well. They'll take care of you. They'll get to know you, and they'll get you out quickly when you need that to be the case. 662-236-2222. Again, G&M right there on South Lamar in Oxford.
Chris Landry and all other guests join us on the Patterson and Earhart Hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm, and that's who handles your case, not a paralegal at some faceless corporate firm. These guys are really good. They're here for you. So you listen to the site, you listen to the podcast, you subscribe to the site. If you think that, hey, just maybe I have a legal issue. Hey, just maybe I've got a legal thing coming up. I need a little help. Something might be happening around the corner. And you want to talk to an attorney. You want to talk to a qualified attorney, not a paralegal, an attorney. You want to talk to someone who knows, but you're not really ready to bite in just yet. Take advantage of being a podcast listener and give John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart a call. You're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day guaranteed, and they're going to be able to guide you through, tell you whether you have a case, what you need to do, and that initial consultation's free. They're going to give you some legitimate time on the phone right there. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. Podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust based in Madison, Mississippi, but it represents clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. Regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust sits down with you. They listen to your goals, your dreams. They study your expenses, and they put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that's built just for you. To learn more, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. And I'll have my mailbag up at some point today, probably going to be later in the day, quite frankly. It's brought to you by the Westin Jackson. You can stop at the Westin Jackson. It's a Marriott property. You can redeem Marriott Rewards points, accrue Marriott Rewards points. You can also restore some serenity to your soul at Soul Spa. It's the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. And then you can gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, sip on a creative craft cocktail. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's food is fantastic. It's a great environment. You'll love it. And all you have to do is stop in and enjoy it. And let them know. Do us a favor. Let them know that you're there because you heard about it on the Oxford Exxon podcast. And this week in Ole Miss athletics, the nationally ranked Ole Miss softball team returns to the Ole Miss softball complex on Friday, 6 p.m. They take on Tennessee. Admissions free. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. And the Ole Miss baseball team back at Swayze on Thursday, 6 p.m. as they host the Texas A&M Aggies for a 3-game series. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com.
So we always talk about Mike Trout. Saw this from Buster Olney this morning. He also tweets earlier than any human I've ever seen, 4 a.m. on this one this morning. Mike Trout rates for hard contact and missed swings, meaning hard hit percentage, meaning when contact's made, they can analytically judge that, whatever. And then swings and misses percentage, okay? I'm going to give you, starting with 2014, 38% of the hits were hard, 7.6 swing and misses. 2015, 40.8 hard, 7.5 swing and misses. 2016, 41.7 hard, 7.1 swings and misses. 2017, 38.3 hard, 6.1 swing and misses. 2018, 44.4 hard, 5.8 swing and misses. And in 2019, so far, still early, but still, 45.3 hard, 2.4 swing and misses. He's getting better every season.
Yeah. We're witnessing the prime of the career of
maybe the best player in Major League Baseball history.
The guy who analytically is the best player to ever play the game.
Olney says he processes and learns and adapts as well or better than just about any of his peers. I remember seeing this trend at the outset of his career, now cemented. Trout plate appearance to plate appearance within games versus the starting pitcher in his career. This is interesting. So first plate appearance of a game, 956 OPS. People would take that by itself, but nonetheless. Yes. Second plate appearance, 1.008. Third, 1.047. And then if he gets a fourth or plus, 1.158.
Yeah, pitchers talk about the nightmare of getting him out.
And then got to do it again.
And he learns from how you worked. He's a very smart person, really understands the game. Watching him hit is really fun because I don't have to pitch to him. It's fun. He's a great player. He's a great player in an era of great players. There are a lot of great baseball players. No one knows them, but they're very good. I mean, I watch Javi Baez a lot. He does just brilliant things day in and day out. He's just a brilliant, exciting player.
You're watching games?
I don't watch much, but I've watched a little. I don't keep up with it in anywhere close to how I used to, but I watched.
Is it because you're busy and it just sort of overtook too much of your life?
Yeah, I just don't have time. I really don't. I just don't have time. I mean, if I'm like doing like last night, we got home from the baseball game and I lit the grill because I'm trying to eat healthy. And
did you light a cigar to celebrate your win?
No. Big win though. Big win for the Cubs.
Big win.
Big win for the 11 and 12-year-old Cubs.
Are they the Cubs?
Yeah, we're the Cubs.
Blue jerseys, Cub logo.
Blue jerseys, the little walking bear logo.
Oh, it's the walking bear logo.
Yeah,
I like that logo.
Yeah, it's an okay logo.
Did you choose this?
No,
oh,
I just told them I couldn't be. All I told them was that for religious purposes,
I couldn't be the Cardinals.
I could not be the Cardinals or the Brewers.
I don't understand why the Brewers have gotten into your head like this.
Have you watched them the last couple
Well,
of years?
no, they're good, but you shouldn't hate them. You should appreciate them in a way.
I do appreciate them, but I hate them at the same time.
Because they're no longer cute.
No, they're not cute at all.
They're ferocious. They're not cute.
Christian Yelich is not cute. He's not remotely cute.
Because the Pirates were always kind of cute when they would do their things.
Yeah, like right now the Pirates are in first place, and it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. Wake me up in August, it might not be so cute, but like the Cardinals are never cute. And the Brewers right now are not cute.
Yeah.
But
That's the transition I kind of get with the Panthers at times, because when they first started coming up, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. Now it's like, I hate that son of a
Yeah. But last night I lit the grill. I was going to grill some fish. It's awful. It's that pre-frozen stuff.
Why'd you buy it?
I don't know, trying to be healthy.
So you bought bad fish.
And it ends up being really healthy because I ate about 2 bites and said, that's it. That's enough.
Also, I had a cooler. You could have just told me to bring you fish.
I could have. Anyway, That's what I did. And I have a TV out back. And so while I was grilling and stuff, I turned on the Cubs and Dodgers and watched.
A little.
I watched like 3 innings. Thunder finished their season last night. I did not watch one dribble.
Did you really not?
Did not.
Yeah, Thunder lose last night.
Lillard hits a 3 at the end.
Yeah, 118-115, I believe, was the final to that one. He hits a 37-footer to win it at the buzzer. But after the game was over, Paul George said it was a bad shot, so you just have to live with that because it was.
Well, that was a bad shot. I mean, if you get beat on a 37-footer, you just got beat. But what got them beat was the possession before that, where Russell Westbrook takes a really stupid shot early in the shot clock. That's what got them beat. Lillard's shot, to some degree, is just karma.
I did love this from ES. Every day should be Saturday. He says on Twitter, he quote tweets the Thunder thing and goes, "Dinosaur, stupid, low probability asteroid, just an idiot rock." Uh-oh. So, I did have a good job there, but oh, gosh. Yeah, anyway.
So it'll be a long off season for Russell Westbrook. Be a long one. Gonna get some different kind of criticism than he's gotten in the past, and we'll see how he handles it. Past history says that he will not handle it well. Speaking of stubborn people,
yeah,
he's one.
That was the running joke on Twitter this morning. Is George goes, and I've seen a lot of bad shots, and just kind of glance over. Yeah.
And believe me, after the last 2 years, I know bad shots.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
It's the thing that's confounding about Westbrook. It's much like, to tie it back into Ole Miss as we wrap up, one of the things that's confounding about him, really, truly, if you watch enough NBA, and I do, you'll see him go through stretches, Chase, where he does not take those shots, and he's a brilliant player. He's actually a brilliant playmaking point guard when he lets himself be. Mm-hmm. And that's what's frustrating. What's frustrating about Russell Westbrook is not games like last night. It's games in the middle of the season where he's distributing the ball and other players are flourishing, and then he gets periods where people can't help off of him, and now he gets to take advantage of his athleticism and go to the rim and have those plays at the rim that have defined his career. He'll have those games, and then in those games, he'll get dialed in on the defensive end, and he's a very good defender. And you watch it and you go, wow, look at him, here they come. And then for whatever reason, something clicks, and he goes back to playing reckless basketball. And in the NBA, that doesn't work, especially in the playoffs where people get dialed in on an opponent, and the Blazers are vocally coaching players, don't challenge that shot. Don't challenge that shot. Yeah. Don't help on Russ. Don't do it. And as they do it, it's almost psychological. It's attack dog in him. Oh, okay. You going to give me that 3? I'm going to take that 3. And they're like, yeah, take it. We actually hope you make one here in a minute.
Set the trap. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just falls right into it. And so it has to be frustrating for Billy Donovan, who I'm assuming is going to have a meeting at some point in the next 48 hours with Sam Presti, and I don't know where that goes. There's a lot there, but at the end of the day, this is Russell Westbrook, and he's got to figure it out, because as he gets older and a little of his athleticism fades, and he's still an elite athlete, and these other guys keep coming, these young point guards keep coming with athleticism oozing out of every pore of their body, he's either going to become a more consistently smart player, and I say that because sometimes he plays very smart, or it's going to get bad.
What's interesting about this, too, East Series wrapped up last night. Raptors 115-96 over the Magic to win 4-1, and then 76ers blowing out the Nets last night in Philadelphia, 122-100. I know the Western Conference is in vogue. I get it.
No, it's the
As a casual fan, I like the East.
Oh,
the East is fun to me.
These 2 series are going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, Raptors.
Yeah, if you're looking for an NBA series to watch, that Bucks Raptors series is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I find myself, when I say no reason, I mean literally no reason whatsoever, kind of liking the 76ers. I have no idea.
No, they're
why.
fun.
Just kind of do.
They're fun.
You always just sort of
have you
pick
watched
something
Milwaukee?
Up a little. I mean, I just don't turn it on.
So for the people who like pure basketball, you old school dudes out there,
They're the closest you get.
that's your team.
Yeah.
And they're good. And they're more than Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Bledsoe's very good. Middleton's very good. Brogdon's good.
Yeah.
Lopez fits on that team. Budenholzer's a terrific coach. They're fun. They are the Eastern Conference San Antonio Spurs, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is what Tim Duncan was back in the day.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, we will talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks again to Chris Landry for his time. Check rebelgrove.com in the meantime. We'll talk to you then.